Hello Golden State Warriors fans, we are here once again to bring you the latest news related to our team, and I would like to emphasize how committed we are to improving our performance to achieve great results. Before we dive into this intriguing news, I kindly request you to show your support by clicking the like button, and if you are not yet subscribed to our channel, I invite you all to join us on an exciting journey. Remember to turn on notifications so you don't miss anything.
ESPN Insider says there's an easy solution for Jonathan Kaminga and the Warriors. The standoff between Jonathan Kaminga and the Golden State Warriors over his contract shows no sign of slowing down, but according to an ESPN source, there might be a surprisingly simple way forward. Kaminga, a rising young forward, is reportedly eager for a fresh start and would welcome a move to teams like the Phoenix Suns or Sacramento Kings, both of which have shown strong interest. However, the Warriors have turned down offers from both franchises, holding out for premium assets like a first-round pick or a player of Bobby Portis' caliber. Golden State recently tried to bridge the gap by offering Kaminga a 2-year, $45 million deal. But Kaminga declined, looking for a more lucrative contract, ideally one without a team option that gives him more control over his future. Ramona Shelburne suggests a win-win solution. As the back-and-forth continues with no breakthrough in sight, ESPN's Ramona Shelburne has offered a potential middle ground that could satisfy both parties. "I still believe he's going to be with the Warriors," Shelburne said. "The real question is, what's the number going to be? I think there's an easy solution. The Warriors give him an extra year. Maybe a 2+1 deal, where he gets more guaranteed money and some control over the final year. It's a smart compromise. By adding a player option in the third year, Kaminga gains the flexibility he wants, while the Warriors keep a valuable young asset in their system. This could be crucial as the team prepares for a future beyond its aging core of stars like Stephen Curry, Draymond Green, and the recently acquired Jimmy Butler. Warriors see Kaminga as a cornerstone. Shelburne also revealed that ownership sees Kaminga as more than just a young talent. They view him as a foundational piece of their long-term vision. "I think they see him as part of the future," she said. "He may not like the term building block, but that's essentially how they're treating him. With multiple 35-year-olds on the roster, they need youth, and they believe in his potential." Owner Joe Lacob is reportedly a big believer in Kaminga. Shelburne noted that Lacob's personal connection with the player has kept him off the trade block, despite significant interest from around the league. Joe Lacob has told him directly, "He loves Kaminga," Shelburne added. "That's why he's never been included in trade talks. They see something special in him." Still, the ball is in Kaminga's court. The Warriors may be all in on his potential, but he'll need to prove he's ready to take the next step, not just in talent, but in mindset. "The real question isn't whether he'll come back," Shelburne concluded. "It's what kind of attitude he'll bring with him." A strategic move for both sides? If head coach Steve Kerr is serious about giving Kaminga a major role this season, the proposed contract structure makes a lot of sense. But if Kaminga doesn't get consistent minutes, it could complicate the team's finances and limit their ability to make other roster improvements. At the same time, this could be a savvy strategic move by the Warriors. Locking Kaminga into a longer deal now could boost his trade value later, giving the team more flexibility and leverage if they choose to explore future options. In the end, this easy solution might be the smartest one on the table, for now. Inside the tension, what's at stake for both sides? This standoff isn't just about dollars and cents, it's about identity, legacy, and the Warriors' roadmap for the post-Curry era. Internally, there's a growing sense that Kaminga represents a bridge between the team's dynastic past and an uncertain future. But externally, league executives are watching closely, sensing that Golden State may be forced to make a move if the stalemate lingers into training camp. Several rival GMs believe the Warriors are quietly shopping alternatives in the background, in case negotiations with Kaminga fully collapse. While public statements have been supportive, behind closed doors the franchise is grappling with a delicate balance. How to stay competitive now, while rebuilding without fully blowing things up. Locker room dynamics could shift. The situation is also rippling through the locker room. Sources close to the team say that some veterans, including Draymond Green, have voiced support for Kaminga to get a bigger role, especially after his strong second half of last season. Kaminga averaged 16.5 points, 5.5 rebounds, and shot over 52% from the field post-All-Star break, showing real flashes of two-way impact. "Everyone in that room knows he's earned more," one team insider shared anonymously. "The question is whether the system will finally let him be who he's supposed to be." With Klay Thompson gone and Jimmy Butler now in the mix, The team dynamic is already shifting. Giving Kaminga a stable role could be key to both chemistry and performance. Fans are divided, but hopeful. Among the fanbase, reactions have been mixed. Many Warriors fans on social media are pushing the front office to pay the man and finally commit to Kaminga as a centerpiece. Others are more skeptical, pointing to his inconsistency and moments of disengagement during previous seasons. Still, there's a growing realization that if the Warriors don't lock him in now, they could risk losing him, or worse, watching him flourish elsewhere. The clock is ticking. Training camp is just around the corner, and the pressure is mounting. While Shelburne's suggested 2+1 deal remains the most balanced solution on the table, time is running out for both sides to find common ground before the situation turns toxic. If Kaminga walks into camp with uncertainty hanging over his head, it could disrupt team focus from day one. On the flip side, if the Warriors overpay or commit too heavily without a clear role for him, they could find themselves stuck financially while chasing a title with aging stars. Final thoughts. For Jonathan Kaminga and the Golden State Warriors, this contract isn't just a business transaction, it's a defining moment. It's about trust, vision, and whether this franchise can successfully transition from one legendary chapter to the next. If they get it right, Kaminga could be the cornerstone of a new Warriors dynasty. If they get it wrong, it might mark the beginning of the end for one of the most iconic runs in NBA history. One thing's for sure, all eyes are on Golden State. Warriors contract talks could get awkward as the Jonathan Kaminga saga drags on. What should have been a straightforward offseason for the Golden State Warriors has turned into a waiting game, one that's starting to test nerves inside and outside the organization. At the heart of it all, Jonathan Kaminga. All summer long, one question has loomed over the franchise. Can the Warriors lock Kaminga into a new deal? So far, the answer has been a frustrating no. The two sides are locked in a stalemate, with no clear resolution in sight. Kaminga has already turned down a 2-year, $45 million offer, believing the team has stunted his growth and demanding either a long-term commitment or a way out. In the meantime, Golden State's off-season plans are effectively frozen. Several veteran free agents are reportedly waiting in the wings to sign, but nothing will move forward until the Kaminga situation is resolved. Al Horford's deal in limbo amid ongoing standoff. Among those left in limbo is NBA champion Al Horford, who's been linked to Golden State for weeks. While he's reportedly open to joining the Warriors, the unresolved Kaminga drama is holding everything up. According to reporter Anthony Slater on NBA Today, Horford has been patient, for now. From what I've heard, they understand the situation, Slater said. They know it's complicated, and they're okay waiting, because it's August, and there's still time. But September? That's when things could start to feel a little uncomfortable. In other words, the clock is ticking. Once training camp nears, pressure will mount, not just on the front office, but on Kaminga too. Warriors roster still in flux as time runs out. Currently, the Warriors have just 9 players under contract. With Stephen Curry chasing a 5th title alongside Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green, the front office is under pressure to finalize the roster and bolster the depth chart, especially after Curry's playoff injury last season. Veteran additions like Horford would be critical for a team that's aging and increasingly fragile. But that can't happen until the Kaminga situation is resolved. Quiet tension and renewed dialogue behind the scenes. Behind the scenes, things have been tense. For weeks, there was radio silence between Kaminga's camp and the Warriors. But Slater reported that the two sides have recently reopened dialogue. There's been some renewed back and forth, he said. They're sharing contract frameworks, ideas, and feedback. But dialogue doesn't always mean progress. Right now, the Warriors face 3 options. Commit to Kaminga with a long-term deal. Work out a sign-and-trade that gets him to a new team. Let him accept the $7.9 million qualifying offer, which would allow him to walk as an unrestricted free agent in 2026. According to Slater, Kaminga is fully prepared to bet on himself. He's standing firm, Slater said. If 2 years for $45 million with a team option is the best they'll offer, he'll show up to camp under the qualifying offer. That comes with a no-trade clause, which makes him practically unmovable. That scenario would be disastrous for Golden State. Not only would they risk losing a talented young player for nothing, but they'd also lose flexibility in managing their roster and salary cap. With teams around the league interested in trading for Kaminga, letting him walk in 2 years would be a nightmare. Golden State's window is shrinking, and fast. This isn't just a contract dispute. It's a test of vision, urgency, and alignment between a young star and a franchise that's trying to balance winning now with building for the future. Kaminga has shown real flashes of star potential, and letting that go, or mismanaging it, could haunt the Warriors for years to come. The front office can't afford to drag this out any longer. Every day without a decision is a day they can't move forward with free agent signings. Every delay pushes them closer to losing both Kaminga and the opportunity to fill their roster with reliable veterans like Horford. In a league that never stops moving, Golden State is standing still. Something has to give, and soon. Kaminga's value is rising, and so is the pressure. Jonathan Kaminga isn't just a promising talent anymore, he's becoming a proven one. His performance during the second half of last season turned heads across the league. He posted career highs in points, rebounds, and efficiency, showing growth not only as a scorer but also as a defender and secondary playmaker. Executives around the NBA have taken notice, and so has Kaminga. That's why he's holding firm. He knows his worth is climbing. He's no longer a raw prospect. He's a 21-year-old athlete with playoff experience and untapped star potential. Teams like the Sacramento Kings, Phoenix Suns, and even the Indiana Pacers have expressed strong interest. Some sources suggest at least one team was willing to include a future first-round pick and a rotation player in a potential sign-in trade, but the Warriors declined, unwilling to move on without a serious return. This puts the Warriors in a tricky spot. They don't want to lose Kaminga, but they also don't want to overcommit if they're not 100% ready to hand him a starring role. Locker room implications. Stars watching closely. Inside the locker room, sources say some of the team's veterans are quietly watching how the front office handles the situation. Stephen Curry, a longtime advocate for balancing loyalty and competitiveness, is believed to be supportive of keeping Kaminga around, but only if it helps the team win now. One league insider noted, Curry wants another ring. He's not here for another rebuild, but he also knows they need younger legs to get there. Losing Kaminga without getting something back would hurt on both fronts. And while Draymond Green has historically been a vocal mentor to younger players, even he understands that unresolved contract drama can become a distraction, especially during a tight title window. The ripple effects. Free agents are growing impatient. The Kaminga situation has put everything on hold, and that's starting to cause frustration. Several free agents linked to the Warriors, including Al Horford, Markieff Morris, and Will Barton, are still waiting for formal offers. Some around the league believe at least two players have already turned their attention to other teams due to the delay. They've got maybe another couple weeks before players stop waiting, said one Western Conference scout. No one wants to be the last guy standing in free agency while a contract standoff drags into September. For a team with championship aspirations, losing out on experience depth could have serious consequences, especially with health concerns hanging over Curry and Butler. The bigger picture, Golden State's future is at a crossroads. This entire saga is bigger than just Kaminga. It represents a deeper crossroads for the Warriors. Are they doubling down on the win-now core of Curry, Green, and Butler? Or are they ready to make space for the next generation, led by Kaminga, Moses Moody, and potentially Brandon Podziemski? The truth is, they're trying to do both, and that balancing act is starting to crack. A long-term deal with Kaminga would signal faith in a future beyond the current core. But holding him hostage on a short-term deal, or watching him walk for nothing, could damage the team's reputation among younger players, and complicate future free agency pitches. What comes next? According to multiple insiders, another round of talks is expected in the coming days, with both sides motivated, but still far apart. If no agreement is reached before training camp, all signs point to Kaminga accepting the $7.9 million qualifying offer, locking himself into one more season before unrestricted free agency in 2026. If that happens, he'll also have a no-trade clause, making it nearly impossible for the Warriors to move him. And if Kaminga doesn't get a clear role and consistent minutes this season, the relationship could become irreparably damaged. Golden State is running out of time, and out of leverage. One contract. One decision. And potentially, the future of the Warriors dynasty on the line. The ball is in their court, but soon, it might be out of their hands. The Warriors are facing a $45 million decision on Jonathan Kaminga, and time is running out. The standoff between the Golden State Warriors and rising forward Jonathan Kaminga is far from over, and the clock is ticking. At the heart of the issue is a 2-year, $45 million offer from the Warriors. Kaminga turned it down, signaling loud and clear that he's betting on himself. He even took to social media to make it known. He believes in his worth, and he's willing to wait for a deal that reflects it. But time isn't exactly on Golden State's side. Kaminga wants control. The Warriors won't budge. The team's current offer includes a team option in the second year, giving the Warriors full control over Kaminga's future. Understandably, the 22-year-old isn't comfortable with that. He's pushing for a player option instead, which would give him some say over what comes next. So far, Golden State isn't budging. According to NBA insider Jake Fisher, the Warriors have made it clear they won't revise the structure of their offer. That firm stance is creating a serious risk. If the stalemate continues, Kaminga could take matters into his own hands. The qualifying offer, a risk for the Warriors, leverage for Kaminga. Kaminga still has the option to accept a $7.9 million qualifying offer, which would make him an unrestricted free agent next summer. That scenario may not be ideal financially in the short term, but it gives Kaminga full control over his future, including where he plays and under what terms. It also grants him a no-trade clause, making him virtually untouchable in any deal this season. For the Warriors, this is the outcome they least want to see. Not only would they lose the chance to trade Kaminga for value at the February deadline, but they'd also face the very real possibility of watching him walk for nothing in return next offseason. Fisher put it plainly. As much as the Warriors want a 2-year deal on their terms, Kaminga accepting the qualifying offer would be a worst-case outcome. And for Kaminga? That might be the smartest bet he can make right now. Play one more season, bet on his upside, and hit the open market in 2026 with multiple teams ready to offer big money and a bigger role. League-wide interest is growing, and the Warriors know it. Teams like the Sacramento Kings and Phoenix Suns have already expressed serious interest. League executives are keeping close tabs on Kaminga's status, knowing full well that his value is only climbing. With explosive athleticism and a clear upward trajectory, Kaminga has turned heads. Critics of Steve Kerr have even argued that Golden State misused him, limiting his minutes and slowing his development. Every time Kaminga did get extended floor time, he produced. Now, teams across the league are wondering, will the Warriors let this one slip away? This is more than a contract. It's a turning point. Let's be honest, this isn't just about $45 million. This is about trust, future direction, and player empowerment. Golden State is trying to win now with a core that includes Stephen Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green. But without meaningful contributions from young players like Kaminga, that window gets a lot narrower, and a lot riskier. The Warriors are gambling that they can retain Kaminga on their terms. Kaminga, meanwhile, is showing he's willing to wait for his terms, or walk. October 1st, the deadline that changes everything. If no deal is reached by October 1st, Kaminga can sign the qualifying offer. Once he does, the Warriors will lose both leverage and flexibility. His trade value will drop overnight. And unless things improve dramatically between now and next summer, he's almost certainly gone. And Golden State? They'll be left with no asset, no trade return, and no young forward to build around. The bottom line. This is a franchise-defining decision, and one the Warriors can't afford to mishandle. Kaminga is betting on himself. He's shown flashes of star potential, and other teams are ready to buy in. Now the question is, will Golden State do the same, or risk losing him for nothing? The Milwaukee Bucks were open to signing Jonathan Kaminga, but the Warriors let the deal slip away. The Milwaukee Bucks had their eyes on Jonathan Kaminga this offseason. There was genuine interest, and discussions were underway, but things fell apart. And according to reports, the Golden State Warriors may have only themselves to blame. The Warriors have made a mess of how they've handled Kaminga's situation. They reportedly offered him a 2-year, $45 million contract, far below what many believe he's worth. In fact, one NBA insider estimates Kaminga's value at around $125 million, a figure that reflects his rising star status and potential. But instead of working toward a resolution, Warriors GM Mike Dunleavy Jr. seemed more focused on maximizing his return, ultimately at the expense of getting a deal done. Golden State's demand that ended the Bucks' talks. According to Brett Siegel of Clutch Points, the Bucks were among the teams seriously considering a move for Kaminga. But Golden State's asking price proved too steep. They reportedly insisted on acquiring Bobby Portis in a potential sign-and-trade deal, a demand Milwaukee simply wasn't willing to entertain. It's worth noting that the Milwaukee Bucks were another team that explored the idea of pursuing Kaminga. Had they done so, the Warriors made it clear they would want Bobby Portis in return, a price Milwaukee wasn't willing to pay, Siegel reported. Golden State has shown interest in Portis for some time now, but asking for a proven high-impact player in exchange for a still-developing talent like Kaminga is a bold, and arguably unrealistic move. Kaminga's frustration is justified. Meanwhile, Kaminga's frustration is more than understandable. The Warriors have made little progress in negotiations, holding firm to their stance while the 21-year-old forward seeks a bigger role and a better contract, neither of which seem likely in Golden State's current setup. It's hard to feel sympathy for the Warriors in this scenario. Kaminga has handled himself professionally, remained patient, and waited for his opportunity. But now that he's trying to take the next step in his career, the franchise is more focused on squeezing every last drop of value from him than helping him move forward. Sure, a cynical NBA fan might say that teams don't owe players anything, and technically that's true. But players across the league take note of how franchises treat their own when it's time to part ways. A damaging message from Golden State. At the end of the day, this standoff sends a troubling message about how the Warriors manage relationships with their talent. It's not a good look, especially for a team that's trying to retool for the future. Hopefully, Kaminga and his camp will find a way out of this gridlock soon and land somewhere that gives him the opportunities he's earned. As for Golden State, they might want to think twice about how hard they're holding on, before it costs them even more. A brewing storm. Kaminga's uncertain future sparks ripples across the NBA. As the offseason drags on, the stalemate between Jonathan Kaminga and the Golden State Warriors has grown more tense, and the ripple effects are now being felt around the league. A deal blocked by overreach. The Bucks showed real interest in acquiring Kaminga. However, the Warriors reportedly demanded Bobby Portis in return, a key veteran presence in Milwaukee and a close ally of Giannis Antetokounmpo. Understandably, the Bucks refused to part ways with one of their most dependable and emotionally important players. With that, talks fell apart. Golden State's insistence on squeezing maximum value, especially for a player whose own future with the team is in doubt, may have cost them a real opportunity to resolve the situation quickly and cleanly. Silence with meaning. Kaminga himself has remained largely quiet in public, but a recent cryptic social media post, a series of peace sign emojis, suggests a player who is either ready to move on or deeply frustrated. For a young talent entering his prime, the lack of progress must be discouraging. Contract talks at a standstill. Kaminga reportedly turned down a 2-year, $45 million extension from the Warriors. Instead, he's considering playing out the final year of his rookie contract and entering free agency in 2026, giving himself more freedom and control over his next move. That decision alone speaks volumes. It shows he's willing to bet on himself rather than settle for a deal he believes undervalues him. Strategic paralysis in Golden State. This impasse is more than just a contract dispute. It's now affecting the Warriors' broader off-season plans. Locked in uncertainty, the team has been unable to finalize other roster moves or pursue key free agent targets. While rival teams continue to reshape their lineups, Golden State has remained eerily quiet. Team leaders have taken notice. Even Stephen Curry, the face of the franchise, publicly acknowledged that the Warriors are the only team in the league that hasn't made a move this summer. While he remains optimistic, he's also made it clear, the team needs help, and time is slipping away. What's at stake? For Kaminga, this could define his career. Taking a shorter deal in pursuit of long-term potential is bold and risky, but it shows his confidence and desire for growth. For the Warriors, every day of indecision chips away at their chances of staying competitive. If they don't act soon, they risk losing a rising star without getting real value in return. For the league, this situation is being watched closely. How it unfolds could influence how other young players, and front offices, approach extension talks and trade demands. Bottom line. The Warriors had a real opportunity to resolve this with a team like Milwaukee, but their unwillingness to compromise may now leave them stuck. Kaminga, for his part, appears ready to take control of his future, whether Golden State cooperates or not. If things don't shift soon, this situation could go from frustrating to damaging for both sides.